I got a quiz for y'all. So look, this is the question. I'm gonna ask, y'all can answer, and I'm gonna answer before y'all answer. Okay, so that's the questions. Questions. So I've been thinking to ask a lot of people that I know that reads the Bible in that spiritual biblical area this question or these questions. What was the last things that y'all can remember reading or and studying from anything that was biblical and spiritual? So I'm gonna say it again. What do y'all remember reading and studying that was biblical and spiritual? Whatever the last couple of things was, if you can remember it, post it in the comments. If you can't, you can just say you can't remember. But that also might mean that you might need to start back reading or and studying. So my turn to answer the questions, and then I'm gonna get out of here. You know what I mean? So the questions was, what was the last things that I've read or was reading and been studying that's biblical and spiritual? So my answers is the last couple of things I was studying was about the Sabbath. Somebody wanted to know, how do you keep the Sabbath? Because there's a lot of different ways people keep the Sabbath. You got people that keep the Sabbath from morning to morning. You got some people that keep the Sabbath from night to night. You got people that keep the Sabbath by the moon, from the first new moon every 7 days after. You got some people that go by, I think, the Enoch calendar. If I'm correct, their Sabbath is on a Tuesday for this whole year. So, and that might not change. I don't know. But if that's, I don't know how to keep the Enoch calendar, y'all, properly. But that's just my thinking, my theory. And I think that's about it. I think that's. Oh wait, we got people that actually changed the Sabbath day in history to Sunday, and then they changed it to Monday. That didn't work out, so they went back to Sunday. So their Sabbath is on Sunday. So, besides all that, those are the only ones I can think of right now. Okay, so we was looking up that. We researched the Sabbath. We found out about the new moon, and from night to night, the one that has the most cross references that could be verified, the night to night Sabbath, Friday to Saturday night. And the new moon information, I went into the book of Enoch because it gives the most detailed account of what a new moon is, and we cross-reference that with the Bible. Then I also did another study on the Sabbath, but this one involves, can we keep the Sabbath, or should it be kept in the new covenant and versus the old covenant? So this is ongoing. Just started this last Thursday, or this Thursday that just passed. That one's not finished yet, but it is good to see so far. And before that, I think it was the Sabbath again, maybe. But yeah, it was. But it was going along with the other one too. And then before that, I had a small study regarding the number 2. I know that sounds small and weird, but the reason that this came about because I shop and deliver groceries and items to people for a living. So I was like, as time goes on, I was looking at these items that I'm picking up, and I'm looking at these expiration dates, and I'm like, this was already cooked, frozen, packaged, sent to a store, put on a shelf or in a cooler or a freezer, and then somebody comes along and buys it, and they claim it will still last a whole year or more or shorter. And I'm like, I don't believe it some of these days. So after a while of seeing that, I had this idea. Biblically, you have 2 to 3 days. This was at the time when I was thinking this, 2 to 3 days to eat whatever you have prepared or cooked, and then you're supposed to throw it away. That was the biblical rule that I remember. And then most people you ask that will say 2 or 3 days. But I went to go look for the verse about the 3 days or 2 days or 2 to 3, but I could only find 2 days, not 3. So I was corrected. Then when I was looking at it in Exodus 16:29, if I'm not mistaken, when it says the 2 days, I looked in the Hebrew and I couldn't find a Hebrew word for 2. So I'm like, well, it's not there. That's what I was thinking. Excuse me. But then I found out it's a thing called dual Hebrew words. And what this is when 2 letters is connected to, we'll just say another word. Another Hebrew word is connected to a Hebrew word, and it becomes a dual Hebrew word. So, example, the Hebrew word for day was connected with another Hebrew word. And when they're connected, this means you have a dual Hebrew word. And so a day becomes 2 days. And so that's where it was at. It was connected with that. I didn't know that. Just I learned that recently. So that was a part of my 2 study. Then the last things I was reading was in Hebrew. I'm still reading Genesis, and I'm reading the Gospel of Bartholomew. Yeah. And I guess I'll just give you some stuff I remember from that. It wouldn't be a quiz, I guess, if I did. So some things I remember from that, and I read it before too, because I remember some of the stuff about Bartholomew and the dragon, where he asked Jesus if he could see what I think I could be wrong on how to describe it, but either Satan looks like or the keeper of hell. It was something like that. He said, can I see what he looks like? And I don't think Jesus recommended it, but I could be wrong. So he was able to see him, and I might be mistaken, but he passed out. No, I think they passed out from seeing what hell looks like. There's so much in that book. But anyway, so then they gets to see what in this book they called the Hashatan, the devil, or the Satan. They called him, if I'm not mistaken, Santanus or Samuel. I forget, one of them. He got so many names. And you also have Bartholomew asking, what is his works? What does he do? What is his powers and all that? He wanted to know. So Jesus said, go and tread upon his neck and ask him. Well, and he will tell you. And then he was about to go do it, but then he got scared and said, well, whatever he said. It reminded me of Moses and God, right? when God told him to go do this, and Moses was like, my speech is, So he was like, okay. But anyway, so Jesus said, go in my name, and, it would happen, right? So he went, tread upon his neck, and then he asked what he was supposed to ask. But before he could be told, the main adversary or the adversary said, can you lighten up on my neck so I can tell you what you want to know? And then he started telling them and all this and all that. And he was also saying that he was the first angel created, and then Michael, and so on and so on and so on. And that's something I don't remember, that part right there. Or maybe I did, but just forgot. But I was definitely refreshed on that. So that's some of the stuff that it talks about in there. I got to keep reading it. So this video is about 8 minutes long. I'm going to wrap it up. And y'all can let me know, God willing, what y'all have been reading and studying lately that you can remember that's biblical and spiritual. And I'm out of here. All right.